The sky is still blue-black, the stars faint in their retreat. Somewhere far away a rooster calls, not urgently, but as if reminding the earth to stir gently. In a quiet valley nestled between misty mountains, a thatched roof glistens faintly with morning dew. There is no sound of motors, no hum of electric life. Only the faint creak of old wood, the whisper of bamboo leaves, and the rhythmic cluck of chickens pecking at yesterday's grain. This is not the Japan of samurai duels or bustling cities. This is the Japan of still mornings and quiet tasks, of rice paddies stretching into the distance, of laughter around an open hearth, and lives lived close to the soil and seasons. Tonight we will not rush through centuries of conquest or dynasties. Instead we will walk barefoot down an earthen path. We will enter the home of a farmer, sit beside a hearth where miso soup simmers, and listen to the murmur of everyday life as it unfolded in an Edo period village. So settle in. Let your breath slow. Let the candlelight of the past warm your thoughts. And let us journey, gently, into the forgotten rhythms of another time. The first light of morning does not arrive with drama. It arrives softly, like a breath across the ridges of old roof tiles and the tops of slender pine trees. In the distance, the faintest haze of pink begins to gather behind the mountains. A chill lingers in the air, though it will not remain long. The sky, pale and waiting, has yet to reveal the sun, but already the world beneath it stirs. We find ourselves in the early years of the 18th century, in a small agricultural village nestled somewhere in the gentle hills of rural Honshu. There are no maps that name this village. It was not famous then, nor is it now. But here, as in so many forgotten places, life unfolds with quiet consistency, shaped by seasons, soil, and custom. The village is built in a crescent along a bend in a narrow river. The homes are humble, mostly one-story dwellings made of timber, bamboo, and earth, their steep thatched roofs heavy with dew. They sit close to one another, their eaves nearly touching in places, like the clasped hands of neighbors. Beyond them, the rice fields stretch out in ordered rows, neat and silent under the pale sky. Inside one such home, the faint crackle of embers signals the return of warmth. The fire has been kept low through the night, preserved carefully beneath a layer of ash. A hand now brushes it clean, coaxing out the red-orange glow and feeding it a curl of kindling. The hearth, irori as it is called, is the center of the home both physically and socially. It is where food is cooked, stories are told, hands are warmed, and on cold nights, where weary limbs are stretched out for sleep. The woman tending the fire is middle-aged, her hair bound in a simple cloth. She moves without haste, practiced in these motions since girlhood. Beside her, a pot is lowered over the heat, filled with water drawn from the well just outside. She hums a tune as she works, barely audible, more rhythm than melody. A morning song from her own mother's time, passed down like a favorite bowl or a mended robe. A rooster calls again, this time louder, and from neighboring houses, other sounds begin to join. The dull thump of wooden sandals on packed earth, a gate creaking open, the soft splash of water as someone rinses their face. The village is waking, not all at once, but in gentle succession. The air smells of smoke, damp wood, and distant pine. Overhead, the sky brightens to a gentle blue, with strokes of gold seeping over the mountain crest. The sunlight will soon touch the tops of the trees, then the roof lines, and finally the doorways and gardens. But for now, the light remains diffuse, casting no harsh shadows. In the home we've entered, the man of the house sits quietly, pulling on his worn work garments. He is not old, but years of labor have lined his hands and darkened his skin. His clothes are patched but clean, dyed in indigo, a deep blue that resists fading. Beside him, his eldest son yawns and rubs his eyes. He is perhaps 10, still too young for the heaviest work in the fields, but old enough to help. Before they go, there will be breakfast, a simple meal as it is every day. A bowl of rice, pickled vegetables, perhaps a bit of miso soup if there is time. The rice is not polished white, but a brownish grain, hearty, chewy, filling. There is little conversation. Not from coldness but from understanding. The day ahead will be long, and words are better saved for the evening. The family sits around the hearth to eat. The bowls are earthenware, handmade, with tiny imperfections that speak of the village potter's hands. A wooden ladle passes from hand to hand. Chopsticks, carved from bamboo, are handled with care. Even the smallest child uses them skillfully, dipping into the soup with quiet grace. Outside, the sounds of tools being lifted and boots stepping into dirt grow louder. Chickens scatter as feet pass by. A dog barks once, then settles again. The village is fully awake now. The man and his son bow gently to the others before stepping outside. The morning mist still clings to the fields, and a line of farmers is already walking the narrow footpaths between paddies. Each carries something: a hoe, a bucket, a woven basket. Their backs are straight but not rigid. There is a certain fluidity in their steps, born from repetition and rhythm. As the man joins them, he nods to his neighbors. A few words are exchanged, greetings, whether perhaps a shared joke. But again there is no rush. This is a place where time moves with the land, and the land does not care for speed. Further down the lane, an old woman sweeps her doorstep with a short broom. She pauses often, not from exhaustion but from attentiveness. She notices a leaf that has drifted against the doorframe, a crack in the step that might need attention. These are not chores. They are rituals. And rituals give shape to life. Children begin to emerge, not all at once but steadily. The smallest ones are carried on backs, swaddled in cloth and warm from sleep. Older children skip along the dirt paths, calling out to friends, laughing softly. Some will help with chores, others will make their way to the small temple school at the edge of the village, where a quiet priest will teach them to read and write with a brush and ink. In the fields, the sun finally crests the mountains. Its light falls across the paddies, glinting off the water like 1,000 small mirrors. Frogs chirp from the shallows. A crane lifts itself into the sky with one graceful motion. And the village, now fully embraced by the day, settles into its rhythm. A rhythm that has no need for clocks. No urgency for bells or alarms. Only the slow, patient heartbeat of the land, and the people who have learned to listen. The first light of dawn creeps softly across the thatched rooftops of the village. The sky, once ink dark, turns to pearl. A hush lingers, the world holds its breath in that tender moment between night and morning. Inside a small wooden farmhouse, the paper screens glow faintly with the growing light. The interior remains still, save for the gentle stirring of a mat being folded, a blanket being set aside. A farmer's wife rises quietly, not with alarm or haste, but with rhythm and grace. Her movements are calm, deliberate, as if the day begins not with a jolt but with a whisper. She steps barefoot across the tatami floor, careful not to disturb the rest of the house. She makes her way to the hearth, the irori, where the embers of the previous evening still faintly glow beneath ash. Kneeling, she coaxes them gently to life. A few thin twigs. A careful breath. The soft crackle of fire returns. The first kettle of the day is set upon the iron hook. Water from a bamboo bucket slowly begins to warm. In these early hours time moves differently. There is no loud alarm. No rush toward urgency. Only the sound of water simmering, of wooden beams stretching softly as they warm, of a bird calling once, twice, from the persimmon tree outside. Elsewhere in the house, the rest of the family begins to stir. The children, still sleepy, shuffle across the floor in their thin cotton robes, yukata, their hair tousled, eyes blinking toward the growing light. The farmer, father to the household, rolls his shoulders and moves toward the doorway. He slides open the paper screen just enough to peek outside. Morning mist still clings to the fields. The paddies are quiet, their flooded rows reflecting the sky like still mirrors. A few villagers can be seen, small and distant, beginning their own morning tasks. One leads a cow by a rope. Another carries a bucket to the well. The rhythm of this village is ancient. Predictable. Safe. He steps out onto the wooden veranda, stretches gently, and breathes in the cool, earthy scent of the morning. Behind him, his wife prepares simple rice porridge, okeu, flavored with a hint of pickled plum and maybe, if they are fortunate this season, a few slivers of dried fish. Their breakfast is modest but enough. She sets each bowl on the low table and calls to the family with a soft voice. No shouting. Just warmth. They gather, legs folded beneath them, palms pressed together. A quiet itadikamasu, I humbly receive, before the meal begins. Outside, the morning continues. Neighbors call softly across gardens. A rooster crows once, late. Somewhere nearby, a bamboo fountain tips and clacks, shirshiradoshi, scaring off no deer today, only marking time. Laundry is begun. Firewood is gathered. Straw sandals are slipped on with care. Each step of the day has its place. Each moment is known. There is comfort in that. As the sun rises higher, golden and warm, the pace will quicken. There will be work to do, in the fields, at the loom, at the village well. But for now it is morning. And everything unfolds in quiet layers. The day has begun. Not with urgency but with order. Not with noise but with calm. And in this stillness, one sees how deeply rooted peace can be. The morning sun filters through rice paper windows. Its light is soft, pale gold on the smooth wooden floor. In one small home near the edge of the village, a woman sits cross-legged beside her loom. She has worked with cloth for many years. Her fingers move without rushing. One thread over, one thread under. The sound of the shuttle sliding through the warp is gentle, a soft clack like quiet rain on a wooden roof. This is the work of a weaver. And here in this home cloth is not only made, it is lived. The loom is large yet simple. Wooden beams fitted together. Strings and spools. Pedals to lift the threads. She dips her fingers into a small bowl of starch made from rice water. She smooths the threads before pulling them tight. The fabric she weaves is for a local merchant's order. Simple cotton, white and indigo. It will become summer robes, yukata, for people in town. They will never know her name. But they will feel her work against their skin on warm evenings. A neighbor's child watches from the doorway. The weaver smiles. She lets the child sit beside her. Shows her how to press the pedal, how to send the shuttle through. The cloth grows slowly like a garden growing row by row. Outside, the leaves rustle in the summer breeze. Inside, time moves differently. She pauses for tea. Hot water from the kettle. A few leaves in the cup. She drinks slowly, looking at the pattern forming in the weave, neat lines of color, a rhythm made by hand. Her life is not fast, but it is full. At midday she rises to stretch, rolls her shoulders, feeds the chickens, sweeps the floor, then returns again to the loom. Thread by thread, row by row. Each piece of cloth takes days, sometimes weeks. But she is not in a hurry. She knows this pace, knows this sound. It is a song she learned from her mother, and her mother before her. When the light begins to dim, she finishes one length of cloth. She folds it neatly and places it in a wooden chest. Tomorrow she will begin another. But for now the shuttle rests. The threads are still. And the room grows quiet, filled with the piece of work well done. The air is warm and still. A few dragonflies hover above the narrow path. In the quiet hours after lunch, the village garden begins to stir again. Not with noise, but with quiet movement. A hoe scraping softly against the earth. A low murmur of voices. The gentle slosh of water poured from a wooden pail. This garden lies just beyond the homes in the common land shared by all. It is not large, but it is enough. Rows of daikon radish. Bushy green tops waving gently in the breeze. Slender scallions, sharp and fragrant. Eggplants with purple-black skin. Sweet potatoes nestled under the soil, waiting. An old man kneels by a small plot. His sleeves are tied up. His hands are deep in the soil. He moves slowly, carefully, feeling for weeds before they take root. He hums a tune, something from long ago. No one else knows the words now, but the rhythm of the melody matches his pace. Nearby, a young girl carries a bamboo bucket filled with water. She tips it gently at the base of the plants, careful not to spill. The water sinks into the soil with a soft sound, darkening the earth, feeding the roots. There are no fences here, no signs, but each family knows which part of the garden is theirs, and they help one another. If someone falls ill, the neighbors water their rows. If there is a good harvest, extra vegetables are left at doorways. It is not charity. It is simply the way things are. A woman crouches over a row of herbs. Perilla shiso mitsuba. She pinches off the flowers before they seed, keeping the leaves fresh and tender. She will use them in miso soup tonight. Add a few sprigs to pickles. In a far corner, a boy chases a butterfly. He laughs but softly so as not to disturb. His grandmother calls to him, time to help. He brings her a bundle of straw. Together they place it between rows, keeping the weeds down, holding in moisture. The garden smells of earth and green things. Not loud, not strong, but rich and full. As the sun moves across the sky, the shadows stretch long. The heat softens. Cicadas begin their evening song. Tools are cleaned and placed under shelter. Baskets are filled with today's harvest. A few eggplants, some greens, 2 ripe cucumbers. They do not grow everything here. Rice is grown in the paddies and other foods come from trade or foraging. But the garden is a steady friend. Season after season. As the people walk home, the last rays of sun catch the tops of the plants. The leaves shine for a moment, glowing. Then the light fades. The garden rests. And the village prepares for evening. The sky begins to change. A soft gray light rises behind the mountains. The stars fade slowly, gently. Morning is near. Inside the weaver's home it is quiet. But not for long. A rooster calls in the distance. Then another. And another. The village stirs. The weaver opens her eyes. She lies still for a moment, listening. Outside the birds have begun to sing. Sparrows, swallows, crows. Each has its own rhythm. its own call to the day. She rises from the futon, folds her blanket neatly, brushes her hands across her robe. Another day begins. The fire is out, but the coals are warm. She adds twigs, then small logs, blows gently. A flame returns, small and golden. The hearth is alive again. Water is drawn. Tea is prepared. Steam rises from the kettle. It curls in the cool morning air. Outside, smoke begins to rise from other homes too. One by one, chimneys breathe out the start of the day. Children stretch in their beds. A wooden ladle dips into a basin. Cool water splashes on sleepy faces. A mother hums softly as she ties her hair. A father checks the tools by the door. In the fields, the dew still clings to the rice stalks. The narrow paths are wet beneath bare feet. But soon they'll dry under the rising sun. The weaver steps outside. She breathes in. The air smells of wood smoke and wet earth. Fresh, familiar. She carries her loom tools with her, wrapped in cloth. Her fingers know their shape even without looking. Smooth wood, worn string, polished bone. Other villagers pass her. Each nods. Each says the same simple word. Ohio. Good morning. The sun begins to warm the rooftops. It turns the mist to gold. It lights the leaves. It glimmers on the water in the irrigation canals. In the distance, a bell sounds. It marks the hour. It marks the rhythm. The weaver returns to her bench. She ties her hair, straightens her back, and begins again. Thread over thread, line by line. Another piece of cloth. Another day of quiet work. Another small part of the village life. The world is awake. The pattern continues, just as it has for generations. The sky is orange now. The light is soft. It falls gently over the rooftops and through the doorways of every home. Inside each small house, the rhythm of evening begins. Fires are stoked. Steam rises from pots. Voices soften. In one house, a mother stirs a pot of rice over the hearth. Her sleeves are tied back. Her hands move with ease. This is a task she has done every day. Beside her, a child fans the flame, watching the coals glow bright. The father steps in from the yard. He wipes his hands on a cloth, removes his straw sandals and settles onto the low floor. The smell of warm miso fills the room. In another house, a grandmother prepares pickled vegetables. Radish, cucumber and plum. She arranges them carefully in a small wooden dish. Nearby, a young girl slices tofu with steady hands. Every home has its own version of the evening meal. Simple, quiet, made with what the land gave them that season. There might be fish dried and salted, or small river shrimp, fried with a pinch of salt. There might be fresh greens gathered from the field, or a soup with seaweed, tofu and scallions. Chopsticks are passed around. Each set is smooth, often handmade, sometimes handed down. They sit on woven mats. There is no table. The food is placed on low wooden trays. Everyone sits close. Before eating, hands come together. Heads bow slightly. And in soft voices they say, Ida de Kamasu. I humbly receive. This is more than manners. It is gratitude, for the food, the farmers, the cooks, and the day itself. They eat slowly, quietly. Sometimes talking, sometimes just listening, to the clink of bowls, the bubbling of soup, the creak of the house in the cooling air. The food is not fancy, but it is warm. It fills their bellies and soothes their spirits. After the meal, the bowls are rinsed in a wooden tub. Water is poured carefully. Cloth rags are used to dry each dish. No waste. Even the rice stuck to the pot is scraped clean and eaten. Then the trays are stacked. The fire is lowered. And the family gathers close. Sometimes a story is told. Perhaps of a fox spirit in the forest. Or a tale about a brave ancestor. The children listen wide-eyed, hands resting in their laps. Other times there are no stories. Just the sound of someone humming. Or the wind tapping gently at the door. The day is nearly done. But for now they are together. Warm. Fed. Safe. And soon the night will come. The sun has slipped behind the hills. The sky turns deep blue then black. Stars begin to appear one by one, quiet and steady. Inside the home the fire has gone low. The last embers glow softly in the hearth. It is time to light the lantern. A single candle is placed inside a paper lantern. The flame flickers. Its light dances on the walls. Shadows stretch and sway, long, gentle, peaceful. The room glows with a warm golden hue. It is not bright, but it is enough. The children sit near the lantern. They play with wooden toys, a spinning top, a carved doll, a small flute. Their laughter is soft. They are beginning to grow sleepy. A mother combs her daughter's hair. Each stroke is slow, steady, and loving. The comb is made of wood. Its teeth glide through the dark strands. Outside, the night insects begin to sing. Cicadas, crickets, frogs by the stream. It is a familiar music. The sound of every summer evening. In one corner of the room, bedding is being laid out. Futons are unrolled on the smooth floor. Soft quilts are shaken out. Pillows filled with buckwheat husks are fluffed. The children are washed with warm water from a basin. Their feet, their hands, their faces. They change into sleeping robes, light, simple, clean. A father tells a story before bed. His voice is low. Come. The children gather close, eyes heavy. He speaks of a mountain spirit who guards the trees. Of a traveler who found his way home by following a lantern's glow. The story ends with a whisper, a smile, and a final good night. The candle burns lower. The room is quiet now. Only the soft sound of breathing. Only the hush of sleep settling in. One by one the lanterns are blown out. Darkness returns, gentle, not frightening. The walls hold the warmth of the day. Outside the moon rises. It casts silver light across the rooftops, the fields, the sleeping village. Everyone is at rest. The weaver, her family, the whole valley. And tomorrow they will rise again, to weave, to cook, to live simply under the wide sky. But tonight, they sleep. Together. Safe. So. The sky begins to change. A soft gray light rises behind the mountains. The stars fade slowly, gently. Morning is near. Inside the weaver's home it is quiet. But not for long. A rooster calls in the distance. Then another. And another. The village stirs. The weaver opens her eyes. She lies still for a moment, listening. Outside the birds have begun to sing. Sparrows, swallows, crows. Each has its own rhythm. Its own call to the day. She rises from the futon. Folds her blanket neatly. Brushes her hands across her robe. Another day begins. The fire is out but the coals are warm. She adds twigs then small logs. Blows gently. A flame returns, small and golden. The hearth is alive again. Water is drawn. Tea is prepared. Steam rises from the kettle. It curls in the cool morning air. Outside, smoke begins to rise from other homes too. One by one chimneys breathe out the start of the day. Children stretch in their beds. A wooden ladle dips into a basin. Cool water splashes on sleepy faces. A mother hums softly as she ties her hair. A father checks the tools by the door. In the fields, the dew still clings to the rice stalks. The narrow paths are wet beneath bare feet. But soon they'll dry under the rising sun. The weaver steps outside. She breathes in. The air smells of wood smoke and wet earth. Fresh. Familiar. She carries her loom tools with her, wrapped in cloth. Her fingers know their shape even without looking. Smooth wood, worn string, polished bone. Other villagers pass her. Each nods. Each says the same simple word. Ohio. Good morning. The sun begins to warm the rooftops. It turns the mist to gold. It lights the leaves. It glimmers on the water in the irrigation canals. In the distance, a bell sounds. It marks the hour. It marks the rhythm. The weaver returns to her bench. She ties her hair, straightens her back, and begins again. Thread over thread. Line by line. Another piece of cloth. Another day of quiet work. Another small part of the village life. The world is awake. The pattern continues. Just as it has for generations. The loom does not stop with the seasons. But the world around it changes. In spring the air is damp and cool. Rain falls on the tiled roofs. Puddles gather along the narrow village paths. Children float leaves in the ditches like tiny boats. The weaver wraps herself in an extra layer. The mornings are still cold. Inside, the smell of new wood smoke drifts from the hearth. A kettle hisses gently. She listens to the drops on the roof as she works. Her fingers steady, her pattern familiar. Outside, the trees bloom with pale pink cherry blossoms. Petals drift like soft snow through the air. A breeze carries them to her windowsill. Spring means new cloth. Cloth for festivals. Cloth for children who have outgrown their clothes. Cloth to mark a wedding, a coming of age, a change. Each thread she pulls is a quiet celebration. A whisper of renewal. Then comes summer. The rains pass and heat settles into the valley. The sun rises early, fierce and golden. Sweat beads on her brow as she works. A cloth is tied around her head to catch it. The loom creaks in the still air. Insects drone in the fields. Cicadas sing from the trees, loud and constant. The weaver opens the shutters wide. Lets the wind find its way in. It rustles the hanging threads. It cools her skin just enough. Outside, rice grows thick and tall. The irrigation canals sparkle. Farmers walk through the water barefoot, bent and steady. The days are long, but her rhythm stays even. Thread over thread. Day after day. In autumn, the air turns sharp again. Leaves blaze red and gold. They fall in soft piles on the earth. The mountains are clear and close. Smoke rises from every chimney. The scent of firewood fills the village. The weaver adjusts her threads. New dyes come with the season. Deep indigo, burnt orange, rich brown. These are the colors of harvest, of gratitude, of preparing for the cold. She weaves scarves, cloaks, warm wrappings, cloth that holds the memory of sunlight. And then winter arrives. Snow falls, sometimes gently, sometimes with force. It muffles the world. The village becomes quiet and slow. The loom still sings its soft song. The weaver wraps her hands before she begins. She works by the fire. A pot simmers beside her. Steam fogs the windows. Her cloth is simple now. Useful, sturdy, warm. She sews patches into worn sleeves. Makes thick socks from leftover thread. Nothing is wasted. Outside, the river slows. Icicles hang from the eaves. Children press their hands to the frosted window panes. Still she weaves. Through all seasons, spring's blossoms, summer's heat, autumn's colors, winter's hush. The loom is steady. It is her compass, her companion, her offering to time. Each piece she makes carries the season inside it. A memory in thread. A part of the year held gently in cloth. The loom is still today. Not because there is no work to do, but because it is market day. Once every 10 days the town market calls the villagers. It is a rhythm as old as the loom itself. Pause. A gathering. A day when goods and greetings flow together like the river. The weaver wakes early. Before dawn. The sky is still dark, painted in the softest shade of indigo. Her breath mists in the air as she steps outside. She wears her woven shawl, the one dyed with marigold flowers and walnut bark. She ties her hair with care. Today she represents not only herself but her craft. Bundles of cloth are wrapped in clean linen. Some dyed in rich reds, others in faded blues. Some newly finished, others meant for barter. She carries them in a woven basket on her back. Each fold of fabric speaks of hours of work, of attention, of care. She walks the narrow path toward the town. Others join along the way, a farmer with leeks and daikon, a potter with wrapped bowls, a boy carrying dried fish on a stick. They nod as they pass one another, silent in the early light, but warm with shared purpose. As the town comes into view, the smell changes. Charcoal smoke, fried cakes, the faint tang of vinegar. The market has begun. Stalls rise like mushrooms across the open square. Blankets spread on the ground. Canopies tied with string. Merchants call out softly. Children dart between legs. The weaver finds her usual place, near the tea cellar. She lays out her cloth with care. Unfolds it slowly. Lets the colors catch the morning light. Soon others gather. Fingers brush the fabric gently. Voices murmur approval. How did you get this shade of plum? What weave is this? Is this your own thread? She answers calmly with pride. It is mulberry silk, hand-tied. Dyed with gardenia fruit. This pattern is old, my grandmother taught me. A woman buys a piece for her daughter's wedding. A merchant asks for 10 more by next moon. A boy stares wide-eyed at the blue cloth with cloud patterns. The weaver smiles, folds a scrap and gives it to him. His grin is payment enough. She does not sell everything. That is not the point. The market is more than trade. It is connection. She trades a length of undyed silk for a pot of plum paste. 2 scraps of cloth for dried mushrooms. A small bundle for a jar of ink black soy sauce. Stories are exchanged alongside goods. News of a birth. A village flood. A lost cat. A coming festival. Laughter rings out as the sun climbs. She drinks a small cup of roasted tea. Its warmth fills her. She eats a rice dumpling with pickled radish, shared with the bean seller. Children play with dogs near the well. A monk passes by, offering blessings. By afternoon the wind shifts. The sky begins to dim. Villagers begin to pack up slowly. Bundles tied, carts loaded. The weaver gathers her cloth, now lighter by half. She wraps the coins she earned in a handkerchief. But it is not the money she treasures most. It is the memory of hands touching her work. The feeling that her threads are now part of other lives. She walks home as the sun sets. Along the path the trees rustle. The fields glow golden. Birds return to their nests. Her basket is not empty. It holds food, small gifts, a letter from her cousin. But more than that, it holds joy, satisfaction, a quiet pride. Tomorrow she will return to the loom. The shuttle will fly again. And she will think of the woman in the blue cloak, the child with the cloud-patterned scrap, the smile on the tea seller's face. Because this too is part of weaving. Not just the making of cloth, but the giving of it, the sharing of it, the weaving of lives. In Edo period Japan, life moved with the rhythm of the seasons, and so did the celebrations. While daily life was often quiet and structured, the arrival of a festival would stir the village into a gentle but joyful hum. These festivals, or matsuri, were more than events. They were markers of time, moments to gather, share food, give thanks, and simply feel part of something larger. Let us step softly into one such village festival, in a quiet countryside settlement. The air is warm, not hot but comfortably full. It carries the scent of roasted sweet potatoes, hints of soy sauce caramelizing over a brazier, and the delicate aroma of blooming chrysanthemums. Children giggle as they chase one another down a gravel path, their yukata flaring slightly with each step. Light cotton robes with pale patterns, waves, blossoms, cranes, tied carefully with sashes by their mothers that morning. Their wooden sandals clack softly with each hurried step. Along the village's main street, lanterns have been hung. Some are simple white paper, others painted with red and orange spirals or small family crests. Each one sways a little in the breeze. As the day fades into evening, they begin to glow softly from within. A small procession passes through the street. At the front, a few older boys carry a portable shrine, a mikashi. It's small and wooden, draped with cloths and tiny bells that chime faintly as they walk. Their faces are serious, full of pride. Behind them, women carry trays of rice offerings wrapped in leaves, and baskets of machi, soft, pale rice cakes dusted with flour. There is music too, but never loud. A shamisen, that three-stringed instrument with a soft, twanging voice, played by an elderly man sitting cross-legged near the well. He plucks slowly, rhythmically. Beside him, two young women beat a small drum in turns, soft, steady like a heartbeat. It is a sound that belongs here, among these thatched roofs and winding paths. Nearby, someone begins to pour tea. A low wooden bench has been set with simple cups, green-glazed and chipped with use. The tea is grassy and warm, and it is offered without hurry. A group of villagers, some old, some young, gather to rest. No one speaks much. They just smile, sip, and watch the lanterns flicker. In one corner of the open space near the shrine, a few children are encouraged to perform a dance. They have practiced for days, guided by their grandmother. Their arms move carefully, tracing the gestures she once learned from hers. Their faces are focused, and the villagers clap softly, respectfully as they finish. As the night deepens, food becomes central. Grilled fish on skewers, miso soup with diced vegetables, rice balls with pickled plum inside. Everything is shared. Hands pass bowls and platters. Laughter begins to grow, though still gentle. No one drinks to excess, just a little sake here and there, poured with both hands in the proper way. The headman offers a quiet speech, a few words of thanks for the harvest, for good health, and for the company of neighbors. It is not grand, but it is sincere. People bow when he finishes and the music starts again. Later, a small group walks to the river, each carrying a tiny boat made of folded straw. A candle is placed inside. They light the wicks carefully, shielding them from the breeze with their hands, and then place them one by one into the water. The boats float gently, their flickering lights mirrored in the calm current. It is a way of saying thank you. A way of remembering. A way of letting go. Back in the village, the festival begins to wind down. The lanterns still glow, but fewer voices are heard. Children doze against their parents' shoulders. The shamisen has gone quiet. The old drummer has wrapped her cloth and set it aside. But no one rushes. Everyone knows this is part of the rhythm too, the stillness after celebration. A quiet that holds the warmth of all that came before. The stars above the village twinkle through the open gaps in the rooftops. Somewhere, a frog croaks softly near the rice paddies. And so ends the festival, not with a bang or fanfare but with peace. The kind of peace that settles in the heart and stays for days. The narrow street winds like a stream through the heart of the village, its packed dirt softened by years of footsteps, cartwheels, and summer rain. The houses on either side are close, their wooden walls washed in the same sun and their tiled roofs wearing the same dust. By this hour, the village has quieted, and though life continues, it does so in whispers and murmurs. A woman in her 50s sweeps her doorway slowly with a broom of bound reeds. The rhythmic shusher of bristles on the earth is as steady as breath. She pauses every so often to stretch her back or adjust the scarf on her head. Her expression is calm, not hurried, not idle, just present, like so many people here who live within the moment, not beside it. Across from her, a young boy crouches to trace shapes in the dirt with a stick. He is not scolded for making a mess. The earth belongs to all here. His mother calls softly from the kitchen, something about warm miso soup, and the boy rises with a gentle grunt, wiping his hands on his tunic. The scent in the air is a blend of things: cooling ash from nearby hearths, the faint whiff of pickled daikon left to air, and distant pine smoke from a bathhouse chimney. These are not sharp smells but muted, like a memory just on the edge of clarity. The village has its own perfume, comforting and old. On a low bench under the eaves of her home, an elder woman mends a child's kimono. The thread glides through faded cotton with a whisper. She holds the garment up to the light now and then, inspecting it as if judging not just the cloth but time itself. A cat dozes beside her, tail twitching. Farther down the path, two men speak in low voices while examining a broken wheel. Their gestures are measured. They do not shout or rush. Their tools lie neatly beside them. Here work and talk move at the same pace, quietly. A dog barks once, not in alarm, but in conversation with another a few homes away. Then silence again, like a soft cloth draped gently over the day. From one of the homes, the sound of a shamisen, soft and unhurried, floats out with the evening air. It is not a performance. Merely practice. A girl, perhaps 10 or 11, sits with the instrument resting against her knee, lips pressed together in focus. The notes rise and fall like ripples, carrying no ambition beyond themselves. There is no crowd to applaud. No stage. Just the street, the slow dusk, and the soft music curling into the folds of the hour. Time in this place moves gently forward. No bells ring to mark the passing. Instead, the sky deepens a shade, the shadows lengthen a breath, and the people carry on, wrapping up their day not with urgency but with care. Nothing remarkable happens here. And that, perhaps, is the most remarkable thing of all.